Welcome back to the vlog. Want to cover a couple of things today real quick. As I told you before, this is the Chief's garage, and it's my two-car little garage at home. And for all of you guys who have come to the channel and told me what you think about certain things, I really appreciate it. And this channel's whole purpose is just to show what you can kind of do in a small garage, and you can do your build and you can have all the fun you want with the vehicle of your choice. Earlier the week I went through the dreaded fail to start. Engine rolls over, no start. So I got to digging into this. Of course, this is the original engine that came in my 1990 with GT. And so it's been sitting in the corner, and I've already created a storyline of what we're going to be doing to that engine, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but I'll tell you all about my Summit Soldier when we get there. What we have with the fail to start is I get into the car, I go for a drive, I take it to the local show and shine, and the guys are all there, we're all having a great time, it's time to go home. I'm driving it home. It's probably about 10 miles from where I live. On the way home, it's almost as if someone turned the ignition off and back on really quickly. And it did it twice. I made it home, got into the garage, went through all kinds of troubleshooting, couldn't find anything wrong. Get in the car a week later, gonna go for a drive, back it out into the driveway, car dies, won't start. Then starts the troubleshooting. So I will take you through, and I'm not going to tell you how to go in and troubleshoot your ignition coil. There's 6 million different people out there that'll tell you how to test your coil. I can tell you that this one I purchased, it is practically new, but it's an electronics and it died. So the primary is still good, but the secondary is open. There's just nothing there. So went back to one of my sources, of course, rockauto.com, and bought an original Motorcraft, installed it in there, and solved the problem. Troubleshooting steps, you guys can find that on, like I said, many of the different platforms out there. Guys will tell you exactly how you can go about troubleshooting and doing this. But one of the things that you can't do is, if you're going to troubleshoot your PIP, or you're going to troubleshoot your TFI, you can't get this off without turning the distributor. And there is a tool for that, and I have one here someplace. Let's see if I can find it for you. So there's a little tool that looks like this that I've had for years. This one is probably, I don't know, 25 years or more older. I've had it since I had my Ford Ranger. So you can't get that because the screw holes are down here on the side, and of course it's right next to the water neck. So you can't get to that from here without turning the distributor to do that. So one of the things that I had decided was not to just twist this and try to take that off, actually pull the distributor out. This is the original, the distributor from 1990. It's a great distributor. This distributor is a new distributor, one that I bought when I built the engine, but I decided to do the troubleshooting a couple of different ways. So and I discovered that both the TFI module and the PIP inside of the distributor on this one was good, but this is tried and true blue oval, so I decided to go back with that. In that whole troubleshooting process, we come across the problem with no spark. All that checks out good. I'm happy with putting the old distributor back in. For you guys who've done that before, if you just roll the engine over the top dead center on number 1, locate where your rotor is pointing, drop the back end in the same spot. You're gonna have to retime the engine anyway. It doesn't matter whether you swing it to get the TFI off, or whether you just pull the distributor out. 6 one half dozen the other. They're pretty simple to do. You don't need a lesson in that. But and of course underneath this cover is where the coil is. So I went in, took the coil out, and after determining that the coil was open on the secondary, got this new coil. So I installed the new coil, and let's see, I think the key is in the car. And bear with me here for a second. Yeah, I live here, so there's stuff in the garage. Normally there's another car, but right now it's not. Let's see what happens here. And as you can see, problem solved. So for anyone who is considering daily driving a Foxbody, you can. You need to be handy with the wrenches, because of course the latest one of these that came off the assembly line was 1993. So you know, if you're gonna daily a 30-year-old car, you have to be wrench savvy. This particular car is still running the original harness. It's still running the original A9L ECM. It doesn't have a lot of modifications to it, and that was originally my thought, was not to do a lot of mods to this car that I couldn't undo. And so other than, you know, paint, interior, things like that, most of the things that I did to it were just to get it back into a condition where it was reliable. And reliability to me is greater than all the fancy stuff. It's still running the original 308 gears, even though I've gone through the rear end. And like I said in some of my earlier videos, we've gone through the suspension, we've gone through the drivetrain, brakes, interior. Of course, the 306 is something we built for this. Everything about the car has pretty much been touched, and so of course I was a little surprised when I back it out into the garage and it does a turnover no start. I think the next thing that's, you know, in the back of my mind that I really want to do is take the original ECM out, and I'm going to send it out to have the capacitors changed in it. I don't want to make a lot of changes. I considered whether we Terminator X or this, or we Mega Squirt, or whether we Pro M, because as I said, the wires in these cars are you know, 30 years old. This one hadn't been butchered. It was a one owner, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still 30 years old. When I built the 306, I did change the injector harness, but salt and pepper shakers are still there from the original. There's a lot of this, the loom that I redid, everything underneath that connects all of the O2 sensors and the starters and all that stuff is all new wire and has been redone. But that main harness that goes to the ECM, that's the original stock harness. And as I said, the ECM is the original ECM, doesn't have any chips in it. I'm running on a stock tune. There isn't a whole bunch of mods to this engine, even though it is a 306 and has some bulletproof parts inside. The main, you know, design behind this was to make an engine that could go anywhere, even though I have no intentions of track daying this or anything like that. It is really designed to be reliable, and that's kind of where we've stayed. So if you run into that dreaded engine crank no start problem, hopefully that'll throw something out there that you guys can take a quick look at and kind of go through the process. There are just so many guys out there that'll tell you exactly how to go through troubleshooting all these different things, and I know you'll find the answer. But if you got something that's stomping you, post it on the on the site, and let's kick it around between guys. I'm seeing some really good questions and answers come from everyone, and you know, this is what I do. I appreciate all you guys who come in onto the channel and give your comments, good or bad. I'm open to them all. I got thick skin, guys. I spent 20 years in the service of our country working on diesels and mechanical things, and another 25 or so just doing mechanicals. So let's kick it around and see if we can't keep these on the road. If you're on the fence about what to do, go find something and build it. There's just so many, you know, opportunities for us to help some of the younger guys to learn how to do this. And, you know, for us to share some things between each other, we can kind of keep it moving. I'm really excited about what's coming up with this original engine. Like I said, we always had the thought that this engine was going to go back to in the car, because it is original to the car, along with the original Borg Warner T5 that I have, that we will rebuild as well. So stick around. I'm going to also go back and take some of my still photos and put them into a pictorial to show you what I dragged home and kind of the sequence that we went through to get to what you're seeing now. You know, a labor of love. Not a lot of late nights. There were weeks and times when it just sat in the garage and it did nothing. But, you know, I've had kids in college and mortgage and car payments and all the things that you guys have. I have those things too. But to be able to work on it, my first thought was, can we get it running? If we can get it running, and that's some of the enthusiasm that guys need. Just get it running, guys. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Get it to run dependably and go drive it. Then after that, let's make it pretty. So if you like what you're seeing, if the content is what you're after, click the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, drop a note that says, hey, you're off base, or hey, I like what you're doing, tell me some more, and let's get after it. Thanks for watching, guys.